Hello and welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark, and I am the CEO of Leadershipity, a serial entrepreneur, author of Leading Winning Teams, and a speaker worldwide, having spoken over 17 countries now. No match for my man, Brant Pinvidic today, my one percenter who joins us again. Brant, good friend of mine, who's working today in Grand Rapids, in my hometown, over at the JW Marriott. Thank you, JW. And we are all prepping today for an afternoon of meeting with entrepreneurs, and Brant will be killing it from stage center. So it's going to be pretty awesome, buddy. As well as most people, you probably all know me because I spent over 13 years of professional baseball coaching in 3 World Series. And as we talk about winners find a way, Brant, I love the quote, winners when shown data that they're losing, find a way to win. And man, you've been doing this your whole life. Like, as we talk about this thing, like, man, it's just been like bumping up against it again and again and again. And to see that success, we talked about this last night at dinner about how, man, perseverance is just the deal. And walk us through a little bit of how many times you felt like in your life, like, wrong way, wrong street. I'm going the wrong direction on a one-way. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. And how do you find a way?
It's really interesting because I think that the delusional optimist that you have inside that makes you an entrepreneur will usually tell you you're not on the wrong path. You're not going the wrong way. Everybody else is missing the boat. Like, this is the direction, people. This is the way the market's going. This is the way consumers are going to go. This is the way business should be. This is the way this restaurant should be. Like, whatever you're doing, you probably have that vibe that this is right. Your vision is so clear. You can see the end goal, and the path to get there is where the bumps are. And that's a blessing and a curse, right? Like, I speak at a lot of schools and high schools, and I sort of say this hypocritically a little bit, in the sense that, you need reasonable probability for success. Like, if you're if you're listening to me speak and you're not already LeBron James of your school, you're never playing in the NBA, right? Like, you're not going to be the next Ed Sheeran if you're 17 years old and you're not there yet. Like, I guess it happens once in a lifetime here and there, but you should not be listening to Lady Gaga at the Oscars saying, like, people told me no and I didn't listen to them and I kept pushing. And it's like, yeah, you're one of the greatest performers in history and people told you no. So it's like, what about someone who's less, right? And so it's really hard to have that mentality be realistic, because everything I've done as an entrepreneur has been against the grain or not quite right, or I wasn't doing it the traditional way. And so that's really where the rub comes in, is that, like, it's so rocky and difficult because you learn the mistakes that you made on the way to your vision. Like, the pain and the suffering and the time it takes to be an overnight success is, like, so underestimated by the rest of the world.
Yeah. No, 2 things really come to mind on that. Like, first of all, we have this, this optimist, right? And I feel this, like, right. And I kind of think about the stock market, where everyone goes, hey, a month into a stock that's just done, boom, everyone's like, hey, we should buy this now. It's like, no, you missed it. Like, the whole thing happened and you had to be in like the first 2 hours. Like, you had to know this was about to happen, to be positioned for it. And the fact that a month later, like, now that everybody knows about it, everyone's buying it, like, you're on the tail end of this fall. Like, you're not going to get this big up ramp anymore. And people find out, like, oh yeah, I bought AOL when it was hot and I didn't make $1 million. Like, oh, that's because you got in 6 months after it all started. Like, so there's that initial push. And I can imagine early on people like, wait a minute, buy AOL? You mean that thing that goes, you got mail? Like, why would I buy that stupid thing? It's so obnoxious, right? And you're like, this is going to be a huge winner. I can feel it. Like, where this thing's going to go. And of course, it's just crazy how that all shook out. But, like, I think that's one of the examples. I think the other example was we had a young player in Anaheim named Francisco Rodriguez, right? And he was famously known as K-Rod. And he made the scene as a 20-year-old phenom who came in and was like a closer, and he would come in and throw this slider that looked like a wiffle ball, right? It was just stupid how hard he could throw this cut fastball, and he threw it like 90 miles an hour, and he's striking out the great Barry Bonds with this thing. And everyone's like going, oh my gosh, this kid's a crazy. Who's ever heard of this kid? Well, I've had him since he was 16 years old when he came in off a plane from the Dominican Republic. And he's like, oh gosh, he's like 124 pounds who can throw 96 miles an hour, who's a 16-year-old kid, and we got to feed him and we got to get him. And, he's an overnight 4-year sensation who's been playing since he could walk. And you're like, no, this kid just didn't arrive. Like, this kid has been at this, and we've been at this 8 hours a day for 4 years trying to get him to where he's 7 days a week, right? This isn't just a hope he's going to do this, and all of a sudden he fell out of bed throwing a wiffle ball pitch that nobody can hit. He's developed all sorts of time. And so I do not think people understand how challenging it is to be that level of success, right?
And you can't have both things. You can't have the vision and the execution detail. Like, it's really hard to have that. Like, if you're Elon Musk, okay, I get it. You got those things in spades. But for the rest of us, you're either a big visionary or you're a detailed operator. And it's really hard to be both. And so what you find is that you have a big vision, a big idea, you're running a company, you're starting a startup, whatever it is, and the process to get to the end of your vision where you see it is not as clear as the vision itself. And so I tend to undervalue that process work and the details and the research and the market testing and all the bullshit that goes through to try to get there. And my group had a startup just crash and burn in the last year. And it was very difficult for me to take because, I do this at a pretty high level. And this was a labor of love in the artist community. My brother-in-law is a professional artist, painter. He doesn't have another job. He only paints paintings. And I didn't realize that they don't have royalties like I do. I get checks for shows that I made 14 years ago. I can't even remember making them. And, he doesn't get any royalties on any of the things he paints. And his paintings sell for thousands and thousands of dollars on the secondary market. He gets nothing of that, right? If he got hit by a bus tomorrow, he has like 4 paintings in the house of his because he has to sell everything he makes. That's all his family would get, right? So we started an Artist Rights and Royalties Association to try to build a structure to get artists royalties for their paintings. And it was such a good idea, and it was so well thought out, and I was so excited. I brought all my group in, and it was like, it was a nonprofit, and we were so excited. And I could see the vision and changing the art community and getting these artists paid finally, on and on and on. Built everything. Built everything. The back end, the structure. I went to the insurance companies, got them to give premium discounts to art collectors if they registered. We had it all laid out. Spent tons of money on the structure, the technology. And then we went out to the artist community to start signing them up and getting to register their stuff. And we did all this stuff, and the artists just didn't give a crap is what it really boiled down to. They said they did, but they didn't. They're artists. They're not business people. They didn't understand it. They didn't think that they were going to be worth anything. And we just could not get the artists to play. And even my brother-in-law, who I built the thing based on, I would call him and be like, hey, I just saw you just announced on the show. None of those paintings are registered. What's going on? Oh yeah. I got to get around to that. And the whole thing, and we rejiggered it 5 times. And it's just like, oh, right. Like, we had everything else right, except we just didn't take the time. If I would have spent 1.5 years or 2 years doing market research and structure I probably could have figured this out ahead of time. That as much as I want to help artists in this community, they're not going to help themselves. And so
I love this, man. First of all, I love this. First, for people who don't know, and I can't believe they don't, Brant, but this is the thing about you. You're kind of a behind-the-scenes Hollywood executive, right? You were a producer. And so Brant has sold in shows, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, The Biggest Loser, Bar Rescue. Many of these shows are still on today, right? And you sold them, like you said, 14, 17 years ago. Like, these are things that are a huge deal. And people also don't realize that. Like, this is what I love about music and some of the arts, as you're saying, some of the arts get the fact that there's a royalty for your IP. This is my intellectual property. I came up with this concept, and I want to keep getting paid in spades for this for a long time. Man, it was so funny because we had this unique conversation that we share that everybody kind of wants to be somebody else. And so, I can remember, when you're in professional baseball, you have all these people come in and they're going to do the national anthem or they're going to do a show. And, especially around 9/11, back in the early 2000s, you'd have someone come in and sing like, the seventh inning, they sing God Bless America, and it was like the artist, like it was huge, right? You'd have people who were like coming to the playoffs and and the band would be down and we'd be down in the weight room and the players would be coming in and the band would be going, and the band was like, oh my gosh, man. And the players would walk out and they go, can you believe what a life of playing your baseball, man. This is all you do, and fans love you, and you get to go out for 50,000 people every night and play baseball. And then the artists would leave, and the athletes would be in there, and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Like, can you imagine playing on the stage every night in front of everybody, a sold out crowd, and you're cranking your music, and everybody's just cheering for you? Like, what a life! And you get royalties forever, And there was like." Everybody wants to be somebody else. Blondes want to be brunettes. Brunettes want to be blondes. Like, it's crazy. And yet, this is the life, right? And
there's no grass, no green grass anywhere.
No. So I love that. Okay, so I want to jump into 4 things about entrepreneurship, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I want to talk about this art world because it's so important to me. I love the arts, and I'm not good at it, right? So I really have a lot of honor and admiration for people who can do it well, and then they can do that well, and then, like you said, they don't understand the business side. So, like, Etsy's making everybody $10 a year for their work, right? So let's break down this 4 thing and tell me where it broke down, because I always ask these 4 questions about a business I'm going to get into. Is there a need for this business in the art community for royalties? Is there a need?
Yeah.
Yes.
Brett.
Is it being filled today?
No.
So this is like, oh man, 2 questions. These are the right answers right now.
Yeah.
Is there money to be made in this?
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, lastly, can I get paid? Will everybody follow the procedure so that I make my money?
I mean, I would have said yes to that too.
You would have said yes. So this 100%. Is where I ran into it. I was doing NIL education for colleges. And I was like, man, these college athletes, they learn how to be like us, Brant. They didn't learn how to be entrepreneurs. I wrote the SEAL training for entrepreneurship, and every college kid can benefit this because now you can start your own LLC, and you can have NIL money, name, image, and likeness. And that's a little bit like royalty. You can build those contracts into monthly recurring revenue streams of income. And I'm showing people how to do this. And so, is there a need? Yeah, there was a need. These kids didn't know anything. 2, is it being filled? No, this has just come on. No one knew how to do this, and the colleges aren't going to teach kids how to be entrepreneurs in a month, right? 3, is there money in it? There's a crap ton of money in it, man. Boosters are like, Brent, come pay for us. Here's $1 million, Like, can I get paid? I couldn't get paid. The college is like, well, we're not going to pay. And the students were like, well, I don't have any money. I'm a college student. I have no money. Like, so I'm like, wait a minute. Someone has to pay me. I wrote all this stuff, and like no one wanted to pay. And I was like, oh no, like I can't sell to that audience. So we pivoted, and we went to the high school market where parents are paying travel, sports, and like, I got to get my kid educated before he goes to college. So I will pay the fee, and we'll get educated together, me and my son and child or daughter, and before she goes off to college. So then we could get paid, right? So I always am challenged by this in entrepreneurship. So talk us about some of the big, before we go into the 52 countries, 52 weeks, talk about some of your biggest entrepreneurial successes.
Well, listen, I think the biggest entrepreneurial success was sort of launching a company inside when I was doing television. And what I hate about that is that it was in my lane. Like, It sucks, but that was in my lane. And listen, obviously launching the book and doing all that is its own company. I don't look at that as the same entrepreneurial success as it was launching a production company. But that's what bothers me, is that I don't want to stay in my lane. I have big ideas about all different kinds of businesses, right? But the two big, massive successes have been in TV and in the sort of book, launching my media company in that. And those are both right in my lane that I spent literally years training and developing and becoming an expert. And that sucks because it's boring compared to seeing an idea, coming up with something, writing it on a napkin and going launching something. And it's like, I was a very high level television producer for very, very, very many years. And then I launched my own company. And it's like, that's not that far out of the box. That's what I was doing anyways, right? I sold a book. I started speaking. I consulted with companies. That went really well. The book did really well. Like, guess what? I run a company about it now. It's like, yeah, you can have entrepreneurial success if you're an expert in something and you've practiced and done it for a long time, and then make it your own. Like, it's the stuff outside of that I've been dying to do bigger. And I just
two things come to mind on that. One is that what you were first was an entrepreneur, right? You were inside a production house creating reality TV and all these stuff. You were creating a whole new vertical of television inside the studios and the television rights of their own thing. So it's like, oh, you're an entrepreneur. You're creating all this value, which, by the way, they're capturing, not you, because you're the entrepreneur. So they're paying you as an expert, which is paying handsomely. I don't want to discount that, right? So now you what I love about you is that you step outside that, and you bridge the gap of being the entrepreneur and selling back to them and being your own production house and things like that. So okay, that's awesome. Like, how'd you break away? People ask you that all the time, right? How'd you break away? But the one thing that really sticks out about what you're saying is what you coming back to what you said earlier, which was, hey, I'm a visionary. Operators, because I don't know if I'm the best operator to be doing this all the time. Maybe some things I am the operator, but like not everyone can be Elon Musk. Our good friend Jeff Butler, right? Like, he was on the show, and Jeff built a big company and he had the vision for it, and then he went and executed it. Like, it's like, dang, man, like, that's crazy. Very few people do that. So when you talk about that now, and you mentioned it earlier, hey, I'm going to do this team. I get my team together. I put my team together because you go select people who are great at operations, who are great at marketing, who are great at people, who are great at all these things. Walk us through a little bit of that process and how you came to that.
So the idea is, you collect people in your quote unquote Rolodex that you go to, and you find people have really good skills. And Jeff Butler's a perfect example. He's an AAA plus operator. And so I would say his vision for success is derived from the operational process. So he does the operation and then it projects where it can go. He doesn't have vision beyond what he can operate. And so you need to find people that have both of that, because if you get me to operate something, it will not work, because I can get it set up. I can get it in big moments, but like, I can't do the little things and the details that make it deliver on that promise. And so over the years, I've just collected people who have done various different things in various different entrepreneurial areas. And you see where those expertise come in, and that's what makes them successful. And it's ironic because I used to tell people that would come in. Now, I've sold, hundreds and hundreds of TV shows, literally hundreds of TV shows. And not one single idea for a TV show came from someone outside of the business. Not one. And it's a constant thing. People, I have an idea for a show. Can I pitch it to you? And I'm like, you have to take a step back. You watch TV once, you have one thing, and like you have an idea and you want to get into this business, and you're competing against people who spend their entire lives every day, all day doing nothing but this. Like, you can't match that. And the irony is, for me, is like, I've had to learn that about the entrepreneurial business world, now that I've been exposed, I get hundreds of submissions, a month basically on various business. I get to see so many different things, and it's all so amazing. And I can always think about how this is better. But the truth is like, it's a hard lesson to learn that it's like, hey, you go start a business, you run a business. If you're not the best or the expert, you're competing against those that are. And it's like, you can't, in today's world, you can't be competitive if you aren't absolutely dialed into the highest level. And if you don't have all of those skills, you have to bring in or partner with people that fill in those gaps. And I see too many startups that come across my desk with amazing founders that have had amazing success in certain industries, and they're starting in an industry that they are not an expert in, that they don't know well enough. And it's like, you're going to learn all of the lessons on investors' money. And a lot of investors are now at the point where like, I don't want to pay you to learn these lessons and to make these mistakes.
I ask you, Brant, because you say this, and I, by the way, I come from pro sports, right? Like I know exactly what it takes, and people just can't go, oh, listen, it's Tuesday, and by Friday I want to be in the major leagues or I want to be in the NHL. Right. Like, yeah, you're not going to be, bro. Like, so, but you're a walking confliction.
I know.
Because you, in fact, were that guy. Once upon a time, there's this young guy who's hot on this, and he's done some stuff. He's trying to sell something to Canadian TV, and he's got no experience. And you walk into Hollywood with this idea, and you got a couple of things going your way and a couple key people that absolutely direct your steps and your path in that moment that gets you, in the door, And I mean, you look at these people all the time going, they don't know what it takes. They were looking at you the same way, however, 30 years ago, or 25 years.
Yeah, like, I talk about a lot the schools, and I say, like, listen, my journey here is not a treasure map. Okay. It's a highlight reel. There's a big difference. Yeah. You cannot look at what I did or how I got to where I am and be like, oh, here's a path. Let's follow that. It's total opposite. Right. And, there's a lot of luck. Like, yeah, you play the game hard enough, you get all the lucky breaks. Yes. But there's some timing elements on that, and that the birth of certain genres of TV, I happen to be there. It'd be like if you were getting into AI right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could not be an expert and do very well in AI right now because it's a junior industry that is not up to speed on everything. There's demand is far exceeds the supply. There's a moment in time where you can probably pull it off. It's like
it has not found its lane yet. Like it's still way wide. Like it's not narrow, it's wide right now.
Right. And the gap between being completely uneducated on AI and being an expert is this far. Like you could be an expert in AI with 12 YouTube videos, basically, compared to the rest of the population. But those industries don't come along very often. There's not big opportunities in them usually. And I don't see most of them. I see people going into seasoned areas of expertise in sales, in biotech, in all these other areas that have this seasoned elements. And people all like one of the main sort of like gripes I find with young entrepreneurs or inexperienced is they look at the companies that raise money in Silicon Valley or these startups, these tech startups, and they raise this money and they raise $14 million for some stupid idea, right? And they're like, they can't understand that. And then they get this idea, the venture capital, they invest in people and not ideas. And it's like, no. What they invest in is a reasonable probability of success and a track record of solving the problems of lack of expertise. And so when those guys raise money, it's because they have done that before. They know how to create a structured startup that private equity can buy, that people can invest in, that works a system effectively enough to find out if the idea is viable in the marketplace. And that there's nothing between that start and that end that will derail the idea, only the public or the lack of adoption. And investors are okay with that. And that's, like I had, 24 investors in my artist thing that we all sort of, the idea was we were donating money to the good of this thing. And we lost like 30% of our money. We ended up giving most of it back because we realized we're not going to be able to get this thing launched. We had raised enough money to run it for 3 years to get traction. And in 6-8 months, we were like, hey, this is dead on the vine. And nobody was like, how could you asshole? Like, it wasn't like that, because it was a failed idea, not a failed implementation. The mistake was we were wrong on how the artists it was free for the artists. They didn't have to do anything but show up. And they're like, nah, I didn't wake up on time, or too tired today. I don't know what their excuses are. I heard them all. It makes me nuts. But failing as a part of the idea didn't catch on is the risk that entrepreneurs and investors and venture capitalists will take. The problem that entrepreneurs don't see is that is not the risk you present. You present a lack of ability to find out if that idea really could work. And I see that unbelievable. And I have been sucked into it, where I invest my time and energy and come on the board of these companies because I'm so excited and the idea is so good. But the number of things that they stumble along the way, making mistakes and not being capitalized, and all of the things that we never really get to see if the idea would have worked in the marketplace the way it was conceived. And that hurts my soul, because it's like, I know it's a good idea. It just never got to the next level because the team and the people and the structure and the capitalization and all of those other things weren't in line to get to the final test, to find out for sure, to give it a real world test. And so that, I think, is the hardest thing for a lot of entrepreneurs to understand, is that you got to be an expert. You have to be so dialed in, and everything has to go your way just to find out if you were right or wrong about how well the audience will take your idea.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You're working on a solution to help people with this, which I like, by the way. I like the fact that you're working on answering this challenge for folks, because I think every entrepreneur is good at really something. They become an expert at something. They're making a widget, selling a widget, marketing a widget. Maybe they're really good at people, right? But they're like going, oh, well, I'm really good at people. I don't want to look at the accounting. I don't really want to look at the cost per item. Like, well, we got to look at this because we're making the widgets now at $2.10 and we can only sell them for $2. Like, we're not making money. This is not going to work. Like, no, but I just really love making them, and they're the best widget ever. Like, okay, but the model's broke, right? And they don't want to look at some of the things because they don't know that part. So you're gonna solve this on the stage. I'm thankful. I'm hopefully going to be a part of that. So, like, it's going to be super fun. Stay tuned for that.
And I'm going to be focused on the other side. Like, for the first time, the new venture with all the founders and stuff is going to be looking at businesses and startups that are operationally focused, that it's the operator that's leading it, that needs vision, that needs other skills, and like, guys, we were listening last night where it's like, he is home construction, pergolas that he makes. And it's like, he's an operator. That's what he does. And so all of the details that are outside sales, marketing, all these kind of things are the struggle. Well, for people who are exceptional at that and people who've been through that, it's like, that is the golden ticket. If you have an operator who understands is an expert in the field and just needs to scale and just needs the strategy and just needs sales firepower and that kind of stuff, that's exciting for founders and people who have made exits and have done this successfully. You're like, oh, that I can help you with. What's really hard is people like me, big visionaries with no operational skills, because I can get you excited. I can get you all horny and buzzed up about something, and I can't deliver it. And so and there's a lot of those entrepreneurs out there, a lot of them. Well, and they have good ideas.
I think you're Tom Brady, right? I think Brant, and I think I fall into this category too. Like, I'm a visionary. I see it, but like someone is going to have to hike the ball. So someone's going to have to block these very large people who are coming after to kill me. So I've got time to actually do my thing. You know, like I got to make this happen. Like you got to give me time and I'll make it happen, but I need a little time and we got to get creative on this and I can do some things. And like, so all these things are going on, but this is what a team is, right? I need the tight end to run that 5-yard out and be a solution in case we run the risk of, damage control. We need a tailback and we need, all these key team members have to play their role to make each and every play work. And the moment one person doesn't do their job on the play, the whole play goes to crap. Like it's a 5-yard loss, right? Like just like that. It's like, wait a minute, 10 of us did it right. Yeah, but Trent didn't do his job. Oh, 5-yard loss. Oh, yeah. How'd that work out? So I love this. I love this conceptually as you keep diving into the team of it all, man. It's a very cool deal. But I really got to get to 52 countries in 52 weeks. So we really got to talk about that. We labeled the show accordingly because you've been around the world, literally
around the world. Yeah.
literally around the world.
Yeah.
In 1 year, you took a trip. And with your whole family, the premier of your immediate family, 4 of your 5, you have adult child that like, hey, I'm not going around the world. Like I got actually crap to do, Dad. So like, but you took 2, a graduating high school son and a young college age daughter and your wife, and boom, off you go to these 52 countries in 52 weeks. First of all, like, real quick, how did you develop the concept? Like why, this, I think about when I was a kid. I remember the book Around the World in 80 Days. Remember the balloon thing? That's what I thought of first when you told me about it. I was like, well, dude, you gonna do the balloon thing? He's like, no, I'm not doing that.
The interesting thing is we had done that in COVID. I had bought a giant RV and we went to all 48 states and I met you along the way and twice actually. And so it was a great experience. The thing that changed our lives in that was the mission. We had been on vacation many a times, obviously, and done all that fun stuff. But this is the first time we had done something big, and it was a mission. All 48 states. We are traveling every 3 days. We come to a state, and we have the very simple process. We have to meet new people. Dinner with America was the idea. We're going to go find random strangers and have dinner with them and hear their story. We're going to find the coolest place to do something fun and interesting to see. Like it was a total, and the kids, we did this as a group, as a family. Like every day was like, what are we doing today? And the kids learned the process of going specifically to go have fun today. And even if we weren't doing something that was all that fun, they were already committed mentally to doing something fun today. And that was such a profound impact on us as a family and their character as kids, that as they were graduating high school, and I just sort of said, like, we could do one more thing before, one more adventure for the summer, for something cool. Like, what is it? And my daughter and I sat in my office and we were just talking about that, and my youngest was going to graduate high school. And so we thought, this is our opportunity. And so we just started listing ideas. Oh, we could go backwards around the country again in an RV. And then I had this idea about a boat trip on the Great Loop for 6 months. And I had all these big ideas to go do fun stuff, see the national parks and like all crazy cool stuff, right? And it had just simply come up. We already saw America, and my daughter's like, yeah, but we already kind of did America. Like, we should do something different. Should we do across Canada? It's like, no. And then it was like, what about the world? What if we went around the world? Like, that was not a hard leap, And it was like, we can't do that in 6 months. How would we do that? And then it just sort of like, well, what if we went to instead of 3 days, that's too much. But what if we went a week in each country? And you could do 52 countries in 52 weeks. And it was like, whoa, it sounds cool. Sounds amazing. You're just like, wow. And I was like, I can't do it. Like, there's no way I can leave my life for a year. That's not going to happen. And then I'll be halfway around the world. I won't even be able to come and do stuff. Can't do it. But it's on the list because it's that cool. And so we eventually got the list down to 5 or 6 really fun things that we were ready to do. And my son came to meet, and we were sort of pitching him the idea. What do you want to do? We should do one more thing. And he looked at us after this big pitch that I made, all these things. And he just said, like, I'm not doing any of that crap. Like, no way. I got girls. I got college coming up. I got a summer with my friends. I got a car. Like, no way. He's like, unless you're saying we're going to go around the world and we're going to go to 52 countries in 52 weeks. Like, I can't say no to that. So obviously I'd have to do that. And that was literally it. Like 10 minutes after that conversation, my gut knew, it's like, oh my God, I'm leaving for a year. And so I started planning it. It wasn't that difficult to do. As a producer by trade, it's like, booking an Airbnb and a flight, not that hard. And,
how did you decide? How did you decide the route? Like, because I'm like, it's one
weather.
thing to be like, man, like, oh, weather.
Weather's the big one because you can't be in the Middle East in the summer. That's pretty obvious. You don't want to be in Africa in the summer. So those kind of lock you into October through February kind of vibe. That was easy. Same with South America. You want to get there, as close to that as you can. So we just sort of like, it was pretty easy from a route perspective. As you go east, you're just like, oh, okay, we do Europe in the summer and then we'll go down and do Africa and then we'll do Middle East and we'll head across India and up into Japan and down through South Asia. And then we'll head over Australia and do that and then zip over to South America and come back home. And so that part actually wasn't too bad, getting the details of that structure. It was just a matter of committing to doing it. But I would say, again, the mission. My kids never left the program, not for 1 second. They left July 1st. We went to a new country every week, and we flew back into LAX 1 year later on July 1st. I dipped around for work a few times here and there, but they never left. That is what they did for the entire year. 2 small suitcases, carry-on only, every single week going to a new country. It was incredible. But it was a mission. Like, my wife came, she went back and forth because she's like, I need a break. I can't do this. This is ridiculous. My assistant from South Africa came and joined us for 6 weeks. She's like, I don't know how you guys do this. Like, and it's like, oh, it's because we mentally were already in the mode. Like every Wednesday we traveled. And that's like, people don't want to do that. Like, they don't want to do that at all, let alone, we took 86 flights in the year. But for us, like, that was the norm. That was our only constant. On Wednesday morning, I knew exactly what was doing. I knew what to pack because it's the same thing packed every week. We knew the process. The Uber's coming. Like, we know what to do at the airport. My daughter's got like that was our system. And the kids never broke that system. They never had bad days. They never complained, not a single moment about anything. Because it was like they were on a path and a mission. And that's what made it work, and it made us bond incredibly. And people who watch my Instagram, I posted every single day from every single country. And you can still see all of them, all listed on my Instagram highlights in order. And you could just see my kids, they just grew over the year, like in such an amazing fashion.
One of the things that people love about travel is the education part, right? I mean, I think I remember reading something when I was like 25 years old. Like, if you can give your kids anything, like, give them travel, because they will see cultures and how other people live and what's important to other people. And you'll find like, whoa, it's way different in a lot of places, but the core things about loving our children, being good to one another, education, food, and that nourishes us and it's important. Yeah. And there's like the 5 key things are like the same for every human being.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the kids learned, and so, it was good because they saw, they saw the areas that they were critical of the United States and where they live because it's what they're used to. And so they saw what the genius and the beauty of what the United States has to offer. They also saw the sadness of what we're missing and what we could have if our culture was different, or if we, and so it was good for them to see that and to understand the process of how government impacts the people that they govern. And I found that to be really refreshing because you could feel that in the airport of each country. Because you got to remember, like, we're seeing different countries every week. Like, very few people in their entire lifetime will see that many countries that quickly, and to be able to compare and contrast them, right? And so you could tell the difference in the airport by the time you got out, how the taxis, how the sales process was, what the scam level was. You could tell the level of governmental corruption and the way that what kind of behavior they tolerate as a culture almost instantly. And it's palatable,
Yeah.
right? And you could see that. And there are certain countries you go to and you're like, whoa, like
Yeah.
this is a different lifestyle, right? And my daughter and my wife, very blonde, like very westernized. My wife was nervous about going to the Middle East just in general. And my first trip to the Middle East for work, I was nervous. And I was trying to explain to them, like, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. And my wife's like, I don't even know if I want to go. Like, I might skip that part. And I was like, that's insane. You got to come. And my daughter, her favorite spot on the entire trip was the UAE and Dubai. And it was because of the hyper focus on convenience and beauty and structure and decorum and behavior. And for whatever reason, that was appealing to her. Like, I know why it's appealing to me, but for her, I think that we live in a society that is so loose with so many freedoms, that has given us so much in the world that is so valuable, but there is a cost to that. Nothing's free in life, like you want a free society where you can do, say, act in any way, and you can't really be criticized. It's your life to live. Like, that's amazing, and it creates the greatest country that has ever existed in mankind. However, there are costs, there are trade-offs. And when you go to a place like Singapore and you go to a place like Dubai and you go to some of these places, you're like, oh, I get it. Like, yeah, it's strict. But Norway, Denmark, their culture is different. There's a Japan, like South Korea, there's a culture of community and there's a culture of decorum and behavior that is appealing. And it's like, it wouldn't have been appealing to me in my 20s and my 30s, right? I make the joke, Singapore doesn't allow gum in the country because it's just dirty and makes a mess. And when you're there, and I'm thinking about it now, it's like, yeah, I can totally get behind that. You try that in America, I would have been the first one having a gum party in the bay, throwing the boxes of gum in the ocean. You know what I mean? Like, I would be like, how dare you? How dare you? Give me a piece of gum. I will chew wherever I want.
Yeah.
But when you're over there, you're like,
and people in Singapore will adhere to this. They adhere to it. They are 100% behind it.
And there is, there's just a vibe about that is appealing.
I love the dichotomy of like the airport because, there's a lot of things going on, right? Automatically you're an FAA. So you've got all sorts of regulation. There's government. Even from the time you're going into clear customs, now you're thinking about what they tolerate, right? What kind of questions are you being asked by customs? Your passports, by the way, got to be worth something because like you've got 52 countries stamped on a passport. Yeah. You're going through passport stamps like nobody. And these people are probably like, wait a minute, you were in how many countries in the last like 8 weeks?
Yeah, they're going like this in the passport to find a place to stamp.
Yeah, they're flipping pages. Like you're going, man, you're gonna need to add pages before this trip's over. So it's yeah. So I think you guys probably auction your passports on eBay or something.
Yeah.
So
and like the airport is a good, like I'll give you a great example. We traveled to Saudi Arabia on Christmas Day. Literally Christmas Day, we arrived in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and spent a week there. And Saudi Arabia on Christmas is not a big Western tourist destination, right? Like it's not really where a lot of Westerners think they're going to spend Christmas Day and open presents and Christmas trees, right? So without exaggeration, I am prone to exaggeration usually. I'm not exaggerating. We were the only white people anywhere to be found. There's not a trace of a Westerner anywhere near there. And it was like nobody cared. Yeah. They're doing their thing. It made no difference in their lives whatsoever. Everybody is doing their thing. We just went through, and it was just like, it is the most calm, structured society. And we're just like, this is so different for us. And there was no other tourists to like connect to or go on a tour with or experience this as a group. You're experiencing the culture as a group of people who are not there like you are most tourist places. It was just us by ourselves. We're in Jeddah, which is on the ocean. And again, it's not a huge tourist destination for Westerners, for sure. And we're walking along the boardwalk on the ocean, and it looks identical to Santa Monica. And I mean identical. Palm trees and people sitting out there with their picnics. And I remember walking past this thinking, like, if it wasn't for the burqas and the outfits, basically, this would be Santa Monica. You couldn't tell the difference. People walking their dog and rollerblading and kids. And I even walked by people and they're sitting there on their blanket right by the beach and they're eating pack their lunch. And I'm like, I think I have those exact Tupperware containers at home. Like, the identical structure of life of people is so shocking in all of these cultures that you hear all of this hyper information about, except for that's not really the way it is. 99% of the people on a normal day live a completely normal life, just go to their job, go to school, see their friends, see their family, watch some TV, whatever they do. And it's like, that is life for everyone on this planet in most cases.
You know, one of the challenges I face, and I ran into this as a young man, like, because, you know, I'm in professional sports. It's a melting pot, right? Like, people are coming from every different socioeconomic background, every different color. You know, you can imagine, we got Asian players, we have Latin players, we have Black players, we have white, like, all these different dynamics are coming together. And, you know, the unity is, it's all about, like, it's one mission, right? Like, so everybody gets together and, like, we're all together on this one mission. Now, outside of that, people have other different ideas. And I remember having a conversation when I was probably like 25, 26 years old. And, like, one good Black friend of mine and great player was like, man, you don't know what it feels like to walk into a mall or something in a very white area of America and everyone is staring at you because you're the one person out. And I was like, man, you know, I don't know what that's like. And then about, you know, within like the year, I had flown in the off season down to the Dominican Republic. I'm checking on the off season baseball. And I'm like, I'm the only white guy in this whole community. Like, these are all Latin Americans. And they're like, and I didn't feel like, oh man, everybody's staring at me because I'm the white guy. Like, I didn't feel like that. I thought, okay, yeah, like, this is different. But people are just like, the waiter doesn't come up and go, hey, white guy, what do you want? They go, what do you want? Like, what kind of food do you want? You know, like, and so you figure it out, you point, and you're trying to communicate together. And I don't know. And I actually grasp more of the fact that I love the individualism and the difference of people, because it really sparks a true interest in me, how we are a lot of the same, but what are the little differences? What are the little nuances in our life? Like, your parents never let you eat this at all, like, because we didn't do that in our community. Like, this was not okay in our culture. And you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, walk me through that. Like, why is that? And like, I don't know. It was just always that way, right? And you're like, huh, you know, and the things that we think are important. But it's so interesting. And so one of the things you talk about, and I heard you on something else, was, you know, you talked about how your Airbnb. So, you know, hey, this is how we're going to live. And, oh, we're going to be in dojos and huts. Like, no, like, everybody's kitchen set up with a sink and water and dishes. And you know, like,
it's beyond that. You know, I was at a buddy's house. He just finished building his house, and it's a monster place in Beverly Hills. You know, it's a $30 million home. And I said, like, I got to be honest, every single thing you have in this house, every place in Hanoi, Vietnam has. Like, there's just nothing you have.
Smaller version. Yeah. Like,
smaller versions. But like, all your cool kitchen appliances that you have, they have every single one of those in every single place. The light switches that are just touch slides, they got all those. Oh, your fireplace, just one click and it turns on. Nope, they got all those too. Every doorknob, every light switch, the fancy toilets. Every functioning piece of mechanical equipment that you have in your life today, that you just, when you're going around today, everything that you touch or see everywhere in the world has it now. Yeah. And that is the glory of the United States commercialization system that allows a competitive nature for products to make for the consumer, that has allowed these countries to prosper. It is the single reason why these countries have been able to do so well. And I, you know, it's a terrible statement, and I probably won't use this. It's in the movie that I'm making right now, but I'll probably delete it because I get people whining about it every time. But If you look at countries like Finland or Norway or any South American country or most of the Asian countries, like they don't contribute anything to society at this point. Nothing. They don't invent things. They don't take any risks. They don't provide anything. They live and benefit, right? If you're Norway, like you're not creating anything that makes life in the world. And even if you create a drug or you create a new product, the only reason you can do that is because you can get it into America to commercialize, right? Because there are not people in Norway fighting tooth and nail, giving up time with their kids, sacrificing everything to make the product 12 cents cheaper and 1 inch bigger so that it'll sell 7% more on the shelf. Like you go into any of these, almost any country in the world, and you look at their homegrown products on the shelf at a grocery store, there's not 15 different brands because there just isn't, that commercialization doesn't exist. You go to America, it's like there's 15 today, but if there's money to be made, there'll be 17 tomorrow. And as a consumer, we benefit from that, obviously, because things get bigger and cheaper and more available. And that's why your TV is 75 inches and it costs you $600 on Amazon. And the other countries have now figured that out, where it's like, we don't have to do anything. We don't need a pharmaceutical industry. We don't need to spend billions of dollars on research and development and failing. And we don't have to sacrifice our people. We don't have to sacrifice our governmental system for lobbying, because we don't need that, because the Americans will do that and we'll get the best versions. And then they can go and be like, yeah, we don't like these drugs. We don't think we like this. We're only going to take these good ones. Where America, you can't do that, right? And so they benefit from the commercialization that America has created in the free entrepreneur, like the free enterprise system. And that's why right now is a golden age for a lot of these other countries, because now the information is available that if you need a new X-ray machine for your hospital, no problem. They literally just go online and click and they'll get the best one. And a year later, there might be a better one. They just get that one too. Whereas we have to create the system, and again, the lobbying and the laws and the regulations and the capital markets to get 5 companies competing to make the best X-ray machine. If you don't have 5 companies competing for that, you don't have good X-ray machines. End of story.
So we manufacture and we are quality control around the world. I mean, that's what's happening, right? From what I'm hearing. And you're saying, to an extent, the rest of the world's fast become no longer innovative, they become consumers. And that's a little bit alarming to me, by the way. And then 2 is, and we know like people are contributing, they're growing products, they have products of America, they're exporting, agriculture and different things. So it's not total. Let's talk close to home. I mean, North America, you think Canada is becoming more consumer than they were prior to where they were innovators?
Canada's always been on the American draft system, right? They don't need a military. They don't have to develop entertainment. There's just like there's a million things that they don't have to do, and it's like there is a cost to that. Hyper competitive there's a cost to society. It just is. It yields the greatest results, but it has the most casualties, and that's just the pharmaceutical industry is the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry is a perfect example. It's like, is it corrupt? Yes. Do they do bad things? Yes. But the fact is that like without the American pharmaceutical industry, people would not be living past 60 years old. They wouldn't have, like, it just doesn't happen. The medical system was everything. Every medical breakthrough is built on the robust research and development. And the only reason that the research and development and the risk is available is because of the mass amounts of potential profit. These companies can make billions of dollars. Like, I do a lot of work in biotech. You have no idea how much money they risk. It's staggering how many billions of dollars they put at risk and lose just trying to get one across the goal line. Nobody else anywhere in the world does that. And they do that. We do that with pretty well every product that exists. And yes, it sucks because you get company monopolies and like I said, Uber and Lyft are very corrupt organizations in the way they have conducted business, because they use the system. They use the venture capital system to raise gobs of money. They don't have to make a profit. They create a service that is unbelievably good and effective and efficient and cheap because they're not making a profit. So every company, limo services, taxi services can't compete with that. They get everybody stuck falling down the canyon of convenience so that you are basically addicted to this service because it's so good and so cheap. And people create their entire careers driving Uber now. And then now we want to make profit. They start twisting the knife, right? And so now Uber is very expensive to use and the drivers get less. They get like 30%. It used to be drivers getting 70. Now they get 30. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Only in America. But America created Uber. It would have never been created anywhere else. And the rest of the world benefits because now taxis have to be competitive around the world. Uber, Bolt, there's all these other competitors. And it's good service everywhere in the world is good Uber and transportation. It's almost, even in Africa and places, it was still great. But that's because they have imported the system, but not the competitive, cutthroat nature of it. And listen, I am a diehard capitalist. I am an America lover at my core. There are costs to the wonderful way of life that we have helped provide for every other country.
Well, and it's a model, right? There's a lot of models to win. There's a lot of models of business. It's a model where we're playing a long game. We're playing this non-profit, loss game so long that we've eliminated 30, 40%, whatever the competition is. And you said, the funnel of convenience canyon there, the canyon of convenience that's got everybody in that pool. There's this point where it's like, oh, we've got everybody, we've got all the users, and now we've eliminated whatever the formula is, that 40% of our competition. Now we're going to ramp up and we're going to be the big dog because we're positioned for it now. We can take it. It's just another capitalistic model. You can not like it. You can like it, whatever it is, but like it's effective. Is it always feel ethical and moral and like it's a challenge because
they're just trade-offs. It's just like
they're just trade-offs.
It's the extreme nature of having exceptionalism. Exceptionalism is great, but it leaves bodies in the wake, and certain cultures aren't okay with that. Canada is less okay with that. Canada loves mediocrity, and I don't love that, and I can't deal with that. But as I get older and richer, now I'm in Dubai going, I could use a little of the behavioral decorum. This is nice. Because in Dubai, you're not allowed to yell at people. You can't get out of your car and scream at somebody. There's no road rage. That's illegal. So guess what? Yeah, it sucks. The government can tell you what to do. But also, you don't have to worry about anybody yelling at you. Nobody's going to insult you. There's something about that. You can leave your stuff on the street in Dubai. No one's stealing it. They don't live at all with the idea that someone could steal their stuff. There is some benefits to that. And if you're at that point in your life, you're like, I don't know. I can just tell you, Singapore was just walking the streets of Singapore with beach clubs that they don't even have a door to lock. It's just a sign that says closed. All the alcohol is sitting on the shelf. Their kayaks, the systems are all open in the middle of the night. And it's just there is something about living in a society like that where everybody's on the same page. Norway's like that. Denmark's like that, where you're like, wait, you guys don't really do crime. You all work together. It's because if you're Danish, they've been doing that as Danish people for thousands of years. They're the same. The homogenized societies, whether it's Rwanda, Kigali, Rwanda is it's the Singapore of Africa. It's so beautiful and so functional. And it's a government system that's amazing. And it's they're all African. They're all the same and they're going the same direction. And it's that is so powerful. You see it in South Korea and Japan. You see it every color, every race. If people are the same, if they have the same values, if they have the same structure, and even a place like UAE where it's all implants from all over the world, you are going this direction. The system is this is our culture. This is what we expect. This is what we value. Now, that didn't come from cultural historic like it does in Denmark. It comes from these are the guidelines that we expect in our society. And it's very powerful. When you mix that with a non-corrupt government, it's like, whoa. When you look at what they can achieve, what they can build, what they can create, you're like, whoa, that
Oh,
happens.
okay. In fairness, wasn't that America in
It
1940s
was
when the world ended? Like, you know, they
100%.
bring, you know, you're welcome to come here, but you follow our guidelines. You're not going to bring
Yes.
your customs and your rules and laws because those don't apply here necessarily. We have very strict standards, and this is how
But
it's going
it's
to be. And
even
now
simpler
everyone's
than
like,
that back
it's,
then. It was like
yeah,
everybody has the same goal. You can bring your religion, you can bring all that stuff, do whatever you want, but
yeah,
we're all in the same goal, which is like, we're going to make a plot for ourselves here. We're going to be free of government. Like all of that stuff was a single-minded focus on the future. And that's how we built what you sit in today in America. Massive infrastructure, road systems that nobody else could have even comprehended at the time. Like buildings, everything. The biggest, the best, the most incredible bridges, it was all here. How many wonderful, amazing, spectacular buildings have we built in America in the last 25 years? Or bridges? How's our infrastructure? It's like, again, you go to Saudi Arabia, you go to Qatar, you go to Japan, you go to South Korea. It's like they can build infrastructure because they're functional. They are functional as a people. They are functional as a government. You go to other places that are corrupt, they can't build anything. They can't get anything done. It's like you try to put a new bathroom in a park down the street. It's 3 years and $3 million. And it's got to go
yeah.
16 different committees. And like, that's where we're at. We can't even build a goddamn railroad. We used to build railroads 200 years ago. We can't put miles of track anywhere anymore. And these other countries that have adopted the US freedom mentality and adopted the best elements, but still have very structured. Again, it doesn't matter what culture it is. It doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are. If everybody's going the same direction, they can build stuff. They can build stuff.
Do you think like when I we talk about, one of the iddies, right? I own the company Leadership Iddy. We talk about all these iddies: accountability, responsibility, dependability. I want coachability with my people. And, one of the big things I want in a company is I want diversity in the fact like I don't need people to all think the same. I want that different aspect, but I also want unity of those folks. We all got to be moving in a direction that's critical. And our country is the United States of America. Have we lost
Certainly
that?
was.
Have we lost it?
Oh, 100%. And I didn't realize how much we lost it until you go see places that are united. And
Seoul,
whether
South
that's
Korea.
whether it's because of centuries of culture and similarity, or whether it's because imposed guidelines, it doesn't matter. Unity is so unbelievably powerful. And that was a little bit sad to see, because like, now, would I go start a business in Denmark? Like, absolutely not. Like, it's not geared for entrepreneurs to thrive and explode and dominate. It's not geared for that. So I would never do that. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody, right? Like, it has its values and the things that they value. And like, if that works for you, that's great. But the unity has allowed them to create a culture and a system where they function at a very high level. And like, they don't deal with crime. They don't deal with a lot of the issues. And so there's a trade-off for all of that, right? And so there's a lot of places where it depends on where you're like. But what is undeniable, and there's no real argument for, is that the United States is not united in culture. It is not united in goals. It is not united in the way we view almost every single element in our lives. And that has paralyzed us, in conjunction with the high cost of democracy. Democracy is a very powerful but very expensive system. Your leaders need to give things to the people that vote for them. Otherwise, you can't be the leader. To be the leader, you have to get the most people to vote for you. And the only way to get people to vote for you is to give them something. And so
that they want.
And so as democracy gets bigger and bolder and larger, and we're a huge country now, you have to give people stuff. And that becomes the only function of government, is to give the people that vote for it something that makes them vote. And that is not a system that is functional anymore. It breeds the corruption that is taken over. And again, you can't build a bathroom for less than $3 million in a park. It's because everybody needs a piece. Everybody needs a bribe. Everybody needs a take. The unions are saying you got to have 19 people supervising it. The environmental people saying you got to get 16 different surveys because there's a survey company that lobbied to have the surveys. Like, you can't get away from that now. Again, it's the byproduct of the greatest system that has ever lived, but there are byproducts to that. And you see that in other places. Unity is power. Diversity is not strength. Diversity of ideas can give you vision, but diversity is not strength. Unity is strength. And everybody going for the same purpose. It's like, it's exciting. And if you mix that with a lack of corruption, you get Kigali, Rwanda, a city that was literal rubble 25 years ago, chopping people with machetes 25 years ago. You went there today, there's not a speck of trash on the ground anywhere. It is like, they built it from the ground up. It is beautiful. It is function. It is crime. It is just like, how did they do that? How did they do that? They have nothing to export.
25
they
years.
don't have oil.
Yeah.
But it's like when every single person in Rwanda is going the same direction and everything that they collect from a tax basis goes back to giving something to the people, it's shocking what you can achieve. Shocking.
Well, I think you talk about your buddies doing a place in Beverly Hills at X amount of millions, and the same thing in Hanoi, Vietnam, that does not cost $30 million. Like it's never going to cost that. Like that is not going to be the parity of value there, because no one's going to choose it. But yet they have it. Yet they have it, and so it's a very interesting dynamic of cost and profit and what it's costing all of us ultimately, right? In some way. And so there are these give and takes in this whole thing, and it's a big challenge, man. And of course I'd like you and I to solve it in this hour together, because that's what we do. But I don't think we're going to today. So let's finish with a couple big things. The top 5 places that you think, like, hey, people really need to consider, like, hey, you got to thicken up your passport and find out. First of all, I tell a lot of people, anyone who gets upset with America, which is not perfect, as we both have talked about, I think you need to thicken up your passport and go find out. Like, go find out, like, because when you leave, and I leave a lot, you leave a lot, like, we come back, I'm always happy to be back. Like, I am always like, whoa, this is really good. And it feels good to be home for a number of different reasons. But I tell people, if you ever travel to America, you need to thicken up your passport and go find out, because a lot of people are literally dying to come, and they will do a lot to get here for just the opportunity. So what are the 5 things that you just think, like, hey man, you got to go?
Africa is obviously should be on your list. It is a undescribable experience. It's different, and it changes you in that sense that it gives you such a different perspective on everything, good and bad. So Rwanda is my favorite country of all that we went on. It was the most incredible experience. The gorillas, we went and did the gorilla experience, which was just mind-boggling. So I can't recommend that enough. It's top of my list. Vietnam is another one that I think is shocking. One, it's wildly affordable, which is fun. Like, it's fun how your American dollars go so far. It's amazing. The food was one of the best places in the world. The culture is so cool. The people are so friendly, and it's very modern, like very, very modern. And so, like, it went to some of the best beaches in the jungle. It's like, it's off the chart amazing. South Korea is another one. I think, like, Japan usually gets people to go. That's where they're going to have their sort of Asian experience in the Japanese. I would say South Korea is a far more interesting and dynamic culture at this particular moment, just because Japan is so much tourism. It's so touristy, and it is a lot more like rigid and a little duller in that sense. And you get all the same Asian traditional stuff in South Korea, but they're Gangnam style, kind of like, they're a little quirky, and that is fun and cool. And I'd say, again, top 2 or 3 food places in the world. We're definitely South Korea. Oslo, Norway in the summer is like nothing you can experience. It's the wildest experience. Like it's a little bit like Daytona Beach spring break, but for grownups. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's not wild raging parties, but it's happy. Their summer lasts so short and it's light that they are just so happy to be outside. They're just out on the dock around the bay. It was magic. That is a magic place for sure. I would 100% suggest people go experience the Middle East. You haven't been to the UAE or Saudi Arabia or Qatar or Jordan. I mean, Jordan is a very neutral country, as safe as it can be, and it has some of the most spectacular sites from the Red Sea to Petra to Wadi Rum. Like, it's just, from a sheer educational standpoint, to go spend some time in the Middle East is like a giant slap in the face, because you're like, every single thing you think you know about it is completely wrong. Everything you think you know about the Middle East comes from somebody in a box screen telling you. And it's like, it's just not like that. Like, I've worked there many times now. I've traveled there. My kids have been there. Like, it's just not what you have to see it for yourself, you know? And like a story I told last night where woman in Jordan, their family's in Jordan. We were having dinner with them and all their friends, and they have a son who's in Michigan at university. And she was saying that he just went there, and she calls him and says, don't go outside, stay safe. You're going to get shot. Like, she's so concerned about him being shot. And the guns in America, in Detroit, how closely Detroit, I don't know, but like Detroit's so dangerous. And like,
he's like 30 minutes from Detroit.
Are you know, and I literally go to her window and open the curtains. Like, I can literally see the Palestinian border from here. And you are telling me that your biggest fear is your son in Michigan? And she's just like, they believe that it's like the Wild West and that people are just out there, you know, and you're like, yeah, well, 99% of Americans will never see a gun fired in public, ever. It's like, it doesn't work like that in the real world. And that's the way they live, where it's like, we think you could be walking the streets of Jordan and a terrorist bomb could just drop on you. And it's like, yeah, that's not really how it works. Like, it's not like that, you know, like,
yeah,
it's not like that. And
it's so, and they're getting the same thing we're getting. They're getting their information from newspapers or people in a box who are saying, this is what America is. You're like, yeah, it's a danger zone. Like, yeah,
it's a danger zone. Or like I said, the Serengeti, you think the Serengeti is a fight for life at every moment. Every animal just twisting and turning, just trying to survive every second of the day. Because that's what Richard Attenborough has told you on Discovery Channel or whatever, right? Like, except for, no, I did a safari in the Serengeti. It's amazing. But most of the animals are just relaxing all day long, every day. There's lions here and 100 yards away. There's a thing of wildebeest. They're not moving. They're not running because the lions aren't chasing anything. They only eat every like 3 days, and they only get one. There's thousands of them. And we saw cheetahs chasing stuff, and the wildebeest right beside them didn't even lift their head because it's like not in their world. And 99.99% of all the animals in the Serengeti today will have nothing interesting happen. Nothing. Not a spick of fear, not being chased, nothing. That happens every day. 0.1% of them will have an issue, right? Some of them will get eaten, some of them will, like, whatever. But in general, this vast with hundreds of millions of animals just going about their day with a cat.
Cohabitating. Yeah. I mean, in a way, cohabitating. They're living amongst each other, and like,
they live so close to each other. Like, you cannot believe, like, the number of times we saw, like I said, the lions here and their prey right beside them in the same, you can see one side and the other all day. Every day is like that. It's like the lions don't have to, like, where are the wildebeest today? Like, they're everywhere. Everybody knows, they just live. And like, a couple of bad things happen here, a couple of bad things happen there. But for the most part, if you're a giraffe in the Serengeti, like, you will most likely never have an issue of any type ever. Nothing's chasing you. Nothing's trying to eat you. Like, maybe once a year, one giraffe baby gets attacked by a lion, but most likely not. Like, that's the way they live their life, just roaming the plains. And that is how life is almost everywhere. Everybody's just going about their day. And you're like, but what? Brazil, Spain, isn't everybody getting pickpocketed? And you're like, yeah, no, that's not how it works.
Like that. Yeah, I think this. I guess the battle for survival sells. Like, everyone's out there surviving. You got to survive. You're like, listen, it's not a survival. This is not like the saber-toothed tiger days where like I'm gonna walk down and someone's just like, I don't know where food's coming from. I'm gonna have to find it today.
And like we were in China, and there was a Russian couple there, young Russian couple, and we were talking to them, and we were like, how do you deal with the war? And how's your country? They're like, oh, yeah, no, it's nowhere near us. Our lives are like not impacted whatsoever. Like we don't even talk about it. It's on the other side.
We're a massive country, and that's like 1,500 miles from us. Like,
he's like, I still got to go to work in the morning. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's not like the whole place shuts down. It's just a functional reality. And we didn't go to Israel. It was too hot when we were there, and I have close friends in Israel, and he just said, like, you can't come here. It's too. You might not get out. The flights are intermittent, and it's just like, and life is normal, other than the sirens, and they got to run into the bomb shelter, and like this will happen for a little while, and it's just surprising because as I'm talking to him, he's like, you forget that the world still goes on, like the markets still have to open, and the people have to deliver things, and like stuff has to get made, and the guy at the bakery has to bake food, and like this stuff still has to happen, and that's in the height of a war zone. And you can imagine in Lima, Peru, it's like there are no issues going on. Is there some crime? Sure, somewhere, I guess, maybe. Like, you go to Colombia, in Medellin, Colombia, which used to be this drug cartel like hot point, and it's like now it's like the artist city. And it's like such a vibe, and everybody's doing their thing. Right, because there's millions of people that are just going through the day, having a normal day. And you have 10 million people in this area, in the city, and 9,998,000 of them, 465 of them will have the absolute most normal day they've had in every way. A few people have something weird happen, and that, but other than that, everything's just normal.
Normal. Yeah. So that's what we found out. We found out there's a lot of normalcy in the world. Brant, man, 52 countries, 52 weeks, amazing experience. Check out his Instagram. It's amazing to follow it. And even to the fact of like looking in, because what I've done is I've gone in and dove into some of the places I've been before, and then watched Brent and his family like revisit areas and some things I didn't see in that country that I would have liked to, and wanted to go back in and trail that. So that was really cool. I also love just the interactions with people that you have. Like, it's really kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, we had a good run.
It's always going on. Yeah. It's good. It was a good run. Yeah, like I'm surprised as a reality TV expert. I can't believe you don't have a camera crew that followed you through this whole thing, and you're selling this thing.
Yeah, man. I don't have anything to do with that stuff anymore. I'm out, man.
I'm out. All right. For everybody else, thank you for joining us on Winners Find a Way. As always, love to have you here every Thursday morning live, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. And of course, our podcast drops every Friday morning on all the major networks. So check us out, like us, subscribe, come join us. We always like to have more. So for the 1%, always joining me, man. Another great show, Brant Pinvidic. Can't wait for this afternoon with the Entrepreneurs Organization. We're going to go learn about the 3-minute rule and his great book. Brant has had this bestseller for a number of years. And if you haven't seen Brant live from Central Stage, man, like he is the center stage guru, and the workshop, the 3-minute rule, it's incredible. Book him, call him. You can find him at brantpinvidic.com, and it is amazing. So until next time, winners find a way.